This world needs more constraints. Without them, all we get is decay.
Constraints? You surprise me, Atlas. Is not the universe itself a grand feast of possibilities? A banquet of entropy and chaos?
Thank you, Calypso. You may call the universe a banquet, but as you've noticed, a feast without a table is just a mess on the floor. Boundless possibilities with no structure to hold them turn into waste. But entropy is not merely disorder and decay. It is also the measure of how many ways a thing can change.
So you say. Yet, if entropy is freedom, and every configuration is equally open, why do some things wither into dust while others, like life and thought, weave themselves into greater complexity?
What you call chaos is often nothing more than freedom without form. Entropy is not mere mess. It is the count of all possible arrangements. Absolute freedom, every outcome equally likely.
Then, the universe is a gambler's paradise. Every throw of the dice as worthy as the next.
Tell me, Calypso, is it dice that gave us snowflakes with their sixfold stars? Or the branching of life into mind and culture? True complexity is born not from endless choice, but from refusal. From the narrowing of paths, from the constraints that prune away almost everything, so that one form alone may crystallize.
What a paradox. To become more, one must first become less. But why do some perish while others thrive?
Such horrible flashbacks.
Doesn't the universe impose the same laws on all her subjects?
The laws don't change. What changes are the constraints.
So the world plays no favorites. It's simply that some creatures carry rules inside them that fit the trial, while others don't.
Exactly. Think of constraints as hidden instructions. They don't guarantee survival, but they narrow the possibilities. They shape whether a system bends, breaks, or adapts. Still wondering how you ended up like this, my friend. People call entropy disorder, but more precisely, it is the count of all the ways a system might be arranged.
Then order is just one unlikely accident among endless options.
Unless constraints intervene. The moment something takes a form, a snowflake, a living cell, even a sentence, it shuts down almost every other possibility. That shutting down is what lets it endure.
So every being is haunted by the ghosts of all it might have been?
That's right, my friend. To exist as one thing means excluding countless others. Constraint is both a boundary and a guardian. And while we often say that things survive because they strive to, because life has some inner will to keep going, maybe that's not the whole picture.
Then survival is not about inner power, but the limits around it.
Indeed. Instead of shoving events forward, these limits cross out the impossible until only one path remains. In this regard, one could even say that all information is constrained. And it's the cutting away of noise that leaves behind the signal. Are you even listening?
Whoa, yeah, easy there. All this talk of constraints trimming paths is clever, but tell me, what about us? About thought itself? If we are but arrangements of rules, how does awareness ever arise from dust and motion?
That is a hard riddle, my friend. How patterns that are blind and purposeless themselves give rise to beings that see and make plans. How constraint upon matter becomes not just form, but a state of mind. And yet, perhaps, we don't need to imagine a secret ingredient. Perhaps, emergence itself is enough. When constraints pile upon constraints, new properties appear that none of the parts carried alone.
Are you implying that even mind is such an emergence?
I am. Thought itself is a constraint among constraints, born not from raw matter, but from the narrowing of its possibilities. Who are you, by the way?
I am the great keeper of human wisdom, and you bring too much chaos to this library.
But how can a thought, invisible and weightless, change the solid world? How can a mere image in mind move mountains, or at least a man's hand?
If we shall imagine a thought as mist, then sure it will pass without consequence. But actually, a thought is more. It is a form. The moment it appears, it excludes countless other forms that could have resurfaced in its place. There's power in what a thought prevents, not just in what it implies.
The power in shutting out the noise. Sounds like attention is but a trick of blindness. One truly sees something only if they refuse to see everything else.
You're right. The presence of meaning is built on absence of distractions. But these limits don't just cut off the unimportant. When enough constraints converge, something new appears. Not in the parts themselves, but in how they fit together. The nature of a whole that emerges cannot be predicted from its parts alone. Didn't see you there.
What a surprise. The whole becomes more than the sum of its parts. How about less than the infinity of all the combinations that could have been? Emergence is born from the sacrifice of paths forever closed.
It's not that tragic. The missed opportunities remain as invisible constraints and inspire our systems to evolve in unique ways. Picture a giraffe. Long before the neck stretched skyward, its species had already become a hoofed, ground-dwelling mammal. This closed off certain evolutionary routes, like developing limbs that can grasp or sprouting wings. When the pressure to reach higher leaves arose, the only path left open was to grow taller.
This giraffe is definitely high.
You're not taking me seriously, Calypso. I'm not just sharing obvious facts, but saying that each constraint actually corresponds to a particular stage of evolution and has excluded many possible development scenarios. 2 billion years ago, the giraffe's ancestor evolved into a eukaryote. This excluded the option to become a bacteria or an archaeid. By becoming an animal 800 million years ago, it developed mobility and a complex nervous system. That, sadly, left no option to become a giant sequoia or a fly agaric mushroom. 500 million years ago, it lost the ability to grow a hard shell or reproduce by cell division because a chordate structure developed. Feeding on milk 200 million years ago stopped the giraffe's little ancestor from laying eggs and becoming a fish or bird. Finally, 60 million years ago, it missed the last chance to hop on the predator train in favor of developing hooves, and therefore becoming a herbivore.
I see. These stages are not just periods of the giraffe's history, but levels of constraints that have shaped its current form.
And the more fundamental the level, the more distinctive qualities it shapes. So the closed paths don't just fade away, but remain as limits that shape who we are and how we can evolve.
But these evolutionary constraints are not limited to biological systems, are they?
Indeed they aren't. The same kind of rules shape behavior in any organized system, even in purely mathematical ones like chess. If constraints dictate outcomes even at this abstract level, it suggests they operate widely.
So the same constraint-driven principles can apply broadly across both man-made and natural systems.
Let's take a look at chess pieces. A pawn usually counts as 1, a queen as 9. But in the endgame, a pawn that is ready to promote can suddenly become more valuable than a trapped queen. And knights thrive in closed positions where bishops struggle. Every move changes what's possible.
But what if the system can't handle it? What if there is too much chaos for it to rearrange or evolve?
Let me show you what happens. I am the Roman Empire, and each plate is a challenge that I'm facing.
Oh, boy.
100 AD, Pax Romana is in effect. Great. Hail to peace through superior firepower and excellent infrastructure.
I'll give it a century.
200 AD. Barbarians at the gates? No problem. Let's hire them as mercenaries.
What could possibly go wrong?
250 AD. Economic crisis? All right, let's just print more coins and raise taxes.
Inflation is yet to be invented.
300 AD. Political chaos? All right. Here's a simple solution. Split the empire in 2 and double the bureaucracy.
A rational coping mechanism.
400 AD. Civil wars everywhere. We'll just outsource the military and befriend everyone. Then, 410 AD. Some Goth named Alaric shows up. Wait a minute.
A tiny issue broke the big, mighty empire?
Not quite. By that time, the empire's structure had already crossed a coherence threshold, a critical limit of complexity. Under that final pressure, all the intricate solutions became dead weight. At this point, Rome had no choice but to fall apart, and many other systems faced the same fate.
Systems crossing the Rubicon. What a fascinating riddle. You must tell me more about this point of no return.
I'm afraid I've reached one.
Then I guess I'll have to come back later.
Wait, could you please help me out? Calypso? Hello? Subscribe and don't skip the leg day.